Welcome to Murder.
And everything else.
My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl, and Joy and I are two old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else. Woohoo!
Happy weekend! I was going to say happy Sunday, but today we're recording on Saturday, so I'm like, I don't even know which day of the week it is.
People don't know. We can just say Sunday.
I know, right?
Right.
That's right. What's
The
up,
magic.
my bitch? What's up, my bitches?
She says that with love.
Did I ever tell you that one time when my oldest daughter was like maybe 2.5, this car was like tailgating. And finally, I mean, it was one of those situations where it's like you get over on the freeway and they get over behind you. It's like, why are you following me? If you want to go faster,
go around.
Just go around. So finally, I pulled quickly over in front of another car, and then I quickly exited. And I went, "Bye, bitches," and closed in the back seat of the car. And she goes, "Bye, fishes." And I was like, "Oh yeah, bye, fishes. Bye, fishes."
Oh, she was 2.
Yeah, something like that. About 2, and at that age where they repeat everything you say.
That is
I was
so
like,
cute.
I was
that
like,
makes my dried up ovaries hurt.
Oh God.
You know, when people say something, that's a kid says something cute, they're like, "Oh, that makes my ovaries hurt." Like, I want kids. Well, mine are all dried up. Anywho, funny. That is so cute.
I know, isn't it? Anyway,
bye, fishes.
Just
we're gonna have to adopt that. Ask Chloe.
Right. If we can. Bye, fishes. Anyway, so disclaimer. Remember, this is not for little kids. Bye, fishes. So tell the fishes to stop listening.
Oh, that is so cute.
Right?
We need to make T-shirts that say "Bye, fishes," and only people that listen to our podcast will know what the reference is.
That's right.
Oh,
you know something that all parents do, and you probably already know this, but when their kids say cute stuff, the parents then use those words, whether they're mispronounced or pronounced in a cute way. They use it for the rest of their lives. Like, for example, when Fiona was little, she used to say beeps for, well, she had a lisp.
You're gonna have to.
What the hell was that?
Sorry.
What was that?
That was my text alert for my husband.
Oh,
you're gonna have to edit it out. Anyway.
She used to say beep for bathing suits. So whenever we go swimming, Gabe would be like, "Go get your beeps on." And I'd be like, "Oh, I got my beeps on." And nobody knew what we were saying.
Right.
Except for, the 4 of us. And that was fun for us to use that until, she got to be a teenager, and that
she didn't want to have anything to do with you. And
Exactly. And then I'll tell you, she doesn't go anywhere with us when we're wearing bathing suits anymore. So that's out. Anyway, why don't we head into our highs and lows? You want to start us off?
Sure. I'll start with my low. My low is a certain someone named Joy. I only know one Joy in my life. So I only have one Joy in my life. So you told me about how when you buy something on Amazon, you can make money by selecting, what is it? Delayed delivery. Okay.
You don't make money. You just get digital credits for renting movies and buying music and stuff.
Oh, well, maybe that's the problem. No.
Yeah.
No, because let me tell you what happened, and then you can tell me if well, then the Amazon customer service didn't know what they were doing, because this is what happened. So Joy recommended, because I was telling her how I refuse to give Amazon $200 a year or whatever it is now. Remember, it used to be under 100 for the year for membership, and then somehow it's
Mhm.
went up to, I don't even know what it is now. I just like, I don't
It's
want to see it.
130 it's $139.
I think it's mine is more than that. I don't know why. But I can't live without it. So like I don't even want to know what it is because it'll just make me feel bad. But so Joy recommended that when you check out, when you're purchasing something, you have an option for like next day delivery or 2-day prime delivery, or you can do the delayed delivery where it's fewer stops
Mhm.
for them, and I think it's Monday and Thursday are the delivery days for us, for me anyway. So and Joy told me that she uses all these credits for to watch movies, and I'm like, that is a dang good system, because I refuse, like I said, on top of my membership to pay to rent a movie. So I tried it, and then it says when the order ships, you get that credit, right? So it shipped, and I looked. But see, I went to look at delayed delivery rewards, is what it says on in your account on Amazon. Anyway, it was zero. Okay, so of course I have to now chat with customer service, which they're great. I love chatting, because you can screenshot it too, so that you can prove that someone so and so told you this, that, and the other, as opposed to a phone call. um and they had no freaking idea what I was talking about. And I said, and I explained the whole thing, and using your name, Joy, did not give me any like street cred with them. I was like, my friend
Aw.
Joy told me she does this all the time, and I my first order, it there's nothing. I said, I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing it. And he goes, well, how does, $5 sound? I go, fine. But more importantly, I want this thing to work, because I'll choose the delayed delivery if we can get this straightened out. And he's like, oh, I think it was a technical glitch. Just want to get me off the damn computer. So gives me my $5. And I'm like, I'm going to try it one more time. My order ships, and there's zero credits. And that was it, Joy. So that's my low, because I was like, oh
Mhm.
yes, now I can rent all these movies, and no, it's not working for me, and I refuse to keep track of it. I refuse every time it ships to take a look and then see it's not there, and then I gotta contact customer service, which really sucks.
Well, I also wonder if part of the reason it's available, maybe because you live in a more metropolitan area, so you have access to more drivers, more
No,
vehicles, more
no,
delivery people,
no,
etc.
no, because upon checkout, it says free delivery, and you'll get da 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 da. You're supposed to get a reward for that, right? You're supposed to get some kind of kickback, and it didn't work for me. So it's very, very sad. um, because
Eh,
it sounded like a great program, but I am not going to track it and run it down, and have to chat every time. And I think I even called once, because the second time, because I thought maybe if I speak to someone, and then that didn't help either. So I'm not doing this. I'm like, I'm gonna get my shit the next day or 2 days at the most, and forget about it. So anyway,
because
that was my
right
low.
now I'm watching To Walk Invisible. It is a masterpiece theater PBS production of a story about the Bronte sisters, and I was able to use my credits to pay for it.
All right,
Woo!
brag, brag, brag. Um, okay, so but you all try it, and then write into murder and everything else at gmail.com, and let us know if it worked for you. Please.
Yeah, that's right. Or you can go to Instagram and you can leave a comment there.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
dying to know, because I was so excited when you told me, because I buy so much crap. So I mean,
wait, but
I'll
do
buy
you return a lot of it too?
not a lot, but I'll return it if it doesn't fit, or if I didn't like it. Why? What is that?
Huh.
Do you think?
You never go to the shops?
No.
I love
Art?
going to the shops, girl.
No, I like
By the way, anybody out there, if you can hear like crazy noises, we're having a big thunderstorm right now. So if you hear slight farting noises, that's what it is.
Oh, sure, Joy. Okay, nice cover. And then my high is that, so we are recording on July 8th. We're recording this episode on July 8th. But yesterday, July 7th, marked the 1 year anniversary of Bodhi being a family member.
Mm.
Yeah, so
Happy birthday to Bodie. Happy birthday to Bodie. Happy birthday to
anniversary.
Bodie.
Happy
Happy
anniversary.
birthday anniversary to Bodie.
Yay. Yeah, a year ago yesterday is when I found him outside of work. And so he is
And
just the
guys,
best.
Cheryl's husband Kevin made the most beautiful, beautiful little video about it and posted to Instagram. Oh, if you guys want, if you want to see it, email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com or go to our Instagram and I will forward it to you.
Can we put
It's
it on our murder and
so
everything else Instagram?
Oh yeah, we totally can.
I
I'll
emailed
actually
it to you.
I'll throw it up there. It's so, so, so beautiful.
Yeah, I got all choked up picking the pictures out. I just picked out the pictures and then he put it together. But just looking at the past year of
Mm.
all the things that he's, done and what he's become as part of the family. Ooh. Anyway, he
That's
is just so
Dude,
he's so
that's
sweet.
part of the reels that pop up for me are like rescue dogs and where they come from and what the condition they're in and then what they end up as. And it's like I mean, I can sit and watch them for like 2 hours.
It's so
It's
uplifting.
so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
and also sometimes they have to take it to the groomer, it's all matted and
oh,
it's
I
got, like,
love.
one paw is, like, twisted to the side, and then they love it, and they
Oh.
bring it back to health, and they breastfeed it, it's like a new dog.
Breastfeed. They it's so satisfying when they're all matted and then to see them get all,
No,
groom themselves. Oh, I
I
love
don't
it.
like that. I
Oh, I love it.
actually
I love
like
it.
have you seen the ones where the sheep are super matted, and they have, like, 6 years worth of wool, and then they shear the sheep, and it's literally like
A
I
sweater.
mean, it's like 1/16 of its normal size,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it, like, bounds away, it's like, "Meh,"
Yeah.
and it, like, takes off. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
And then I look at all the matted wool and I wonder, can I still make socks with that?
Maybe. Or you can use it for stuffing for a pillow or something.
But it'll smell
And
gross.
there's probably fleas or
I know, right?
but anyway, yeah, so it was our year anniversary yesterday. And
Happy anniversary, Bodie.
he is just a sweetheart.
Good
He is a
good
sweetheart.
job. Good job, Bodie, on hanging out right around Cheryl's work because you found your forever family.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he probably got the memo. He was like on doggy Tinder. They're all, listen, man, you got to head over. There's a lady over there. She is one
She's a
animal
sucker.
sucker. That's
That's
right.
what my sister said. She's like, he found you. Because I'm like, what are the chances
Aww.
that he was outside? Anyway, but he is the best. And like a friend of Kevin's dropped by the other day. This guy that he used to work with back in the day as a grip. But his friend was sitting on the couch, and Bodhi kept going over and just snuggling his head into him. And
Aww.
it made me so happy because a year ago when we got him, he was very afraid, or at least like very timid with men. So
Aww.
that okay, so I just have to throw this in because I know some people don't believe in like the universe working in strange ways, or I don't really like the everything happens for a reason thing, but I do believe in like the universe working in mysterious ways because I would rather not have had my knees all messed up. However, because I couldn't walk him from last October, it forced Kevin to spend a lot of time with Bodhi, and that has turned his fear of men around for sure. I strongly
Aww.
believe all that time. And if I hadn't hurt my knees, I would have been doing the majority of the. I would have been walking him. I would have been doing the majority of the walking, and who knows if he would have bonded, with men like that. I mean, his time that he spent with Kevin has totally turned his fear of men around. So
Aww.
yeah, so that's a little silver lining in my fucked up knees. Okay, what's your high and low?
Well, I was just gonna say, you know what your Bodhi's theme song could be?
What?
Turn your love around, bum 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 ba da da. Don't you turn me down, dun 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 dun, da 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 da. I can show you how, bum bum bum
Okay,
ba dum.
got it.
Turn your love around by George
Next,
Benson.
I'm getting the hook out like they did
All
it.
right,
What did I say? What did I call that? I forgot
the
now. Apollo.
Apollo.
Apollo Theater.
Yeah. Um. So I know that you're gonna so I was gonna say that my low was that I got sick because you can tell by listening to me coughing, which by the way, I'm gonna be doing through this whole episode because I like to share, but also because
You
I'm in
can't
the
help it.
process of mending. But this morning I did a few errands that I had been putting off all week because I was coughing and feverish and had chills and was just basically like feeling miserable. And on the way home, I had a panic attack. Well,
Oh no.
okay, I had what I like to call it's like the it's like the first like 10 to 15 seconds of a panic attack, at which point I remember, oh shit, I'm having a panic attack. And then I put into place the tools that I learned after going to therapy, how to get myself out of the panic attack. And so that's what happened. But I genuinely felt like I was going to pass out while I was driving.
Ugh. I
And it was a
I start to feel it.
horrible,
I start to
what?
feel it when I'm driving too. I start to feel it and then I
Yeah, it
will I
was,
will it away. I will it away. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
dude, it was a terrible feeling. First of all, I used to have panic attacks all the time in my life. They got really bad after I had kids, and they got really bad in my early 40s until I realized that I wasn't dying or having a heart attack. And just I witnessed someone having a really bad panic attack once, and I have to say that, like, you do feel like you're having a health crisis, like a serious health crisis at that moment. You don't realize, especially if you don't have the tools to like help yourself out of it. But fortunately for me, I did. But I haven't had a panic attack since I had a full blown panic attack Thanksgiving break of 2019. So it was right before the pandemic.
Mm.
And it was awful. I hadn't had one for probably 5 years before that, and I didn't realize what was happening, much like today, but today I was able to identify it about 10 seconds in. So I slowed the car down, I basically took my foot off the gas, I got ready in case I needed to exit and just throw my hazards on and sit on the side of the road,
Mhm.
um, and then I just, started deep breathing and telling myself that I was gonna be okay, that I was in control of the situation, and that I had control over my responses to things and how I handled things. And I was able to like continue driving without stopping, but I just slowed way down. So yeah, and luckily no one was behind me, so nobody had to pass me or tailgate me or
You're
honk
honking
their
cue.
horn at me. But it was just a really good and now of course I look back and I think it's a really good reminder that one, we're only human beings, and number two, um sometimes shit happens when you're least expecting it, like this morning. And even though I have the tools in my toolbox to deal with having a panic attack when I feel when one comes on, um you know uh you just never know when that's going to happen. So it's a good reminder that, like, while I know how to help myself when it does happen, like, you're never fully cured from having panic attacks, meaning like you're never going to not have another one.
Right.
But I'm so glad I know like what to do to help myself when I get to that point. And I know it's not going to be the last panic attack that I have or the beginning of a panic attack. And I know that, I'm going to have this my whole life. I'm just going to have to, learn, like, just continue, moving forward and hope to God that, I can identify what's happening just like I did this morning.
Right.
So that's
Right.
my low because, I just, it's not a good feeling. And then,
Mm-mm.
listen to my high. So guess what I was coming home from? I had run those errands I told you about.
And you
But
bought
guys,
shoes.
I did.
How did I know?
Woohoo!
I
Woohoo!
psychic.
Woohoo! Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to my new shoes. Okay. So Bodie gets a song and so do my new shoes. But guys, I tried these on like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the thing that helped me get better in record time was I was hyper fixated on them. They're so beautiful and cute. And I had, listen to this, I had $60 gift card. And then I had a coupon for $20 off on top of that. And
Whoa.
I also had a $10 reward on my account. So this $145 pair of shoes, guess how much they cost me?
I can't do that.
$60. Woo!
Yay. Well, are you going to start posting this on our Instagram?
I couldn't wait to tell you. I was so excited, but then I was like, I'm not
No,
going to
no.
text her and tell her about these shoes. I'm going to just like whip them out at the podcast recording and be like, new shoes, new shoes. Isn't
Are you
that
going to
so
start taking?
exciting?
That is very exciting. Are you going to start posting pictures so that we can all see what it looks
On
like?
my OnlyFans called Feeties of Joy. Not to be confused with the other one that I have called Feces of Joy. Just kidding.
Oh my god! You know, people are going to be looking for it.
Well, I think I told you that my friend Susan always and I joke around that I'm going to start a 12-step program for people who are recovering from compulsive shoe buying. It's going to be called FETIs, and the first step is recognizing that you have a problem.
Yeah, so
I'll
you're
tell you
only
what
on
my
step
problem
one.
was. My
You're
my
only on
pro my problem was that I got sick and I couldn't go get them sooner.
Your only
That was
problem was that it was at the store for too long.
That's right.
Oh my
Anyway,
god. Well,
guys, they're
congratulations.
so cute.
Now, everybody, aren't you
And
interested in seeing what it looks like? I think you should. I really think you should start posting it.
oh yeah. Anywho, those are my highs and lows.
Well, congratulations.
So they thanks. And congratulations to Bodie. My
Thank
my
you.
shoes found their forever family, and so did Bodie.
Ah,
And isn't it interesting that people refer to their feet as dogs? So like
I
you
know
got
my
a
dogs are
dog,
hurting.
you got a dog, and that's Bodie. And I got something new for my dogs.
Oh God. All right. I think we've just lost some people. Don't, don't click off.
Okay.
Don't click off. Don't click off,
don't
please.
don't stop listening.
No, keep going.
Just wait. We might do video podcasting someday.
Oh
All
gosh,
right.
that's something to look forward to. All right.
Guys, all of our listeners out there, by the way, we are literally, remember how last week I talked about um people could tell their friends and family wanted to get to 100 subscribers by Christmas, but we're well on our way there. We are adding one new subscriber per week at this rate, and that is so exciting.
It is. Thank you,
So,
guys.
as a big thank you to our listeners, Cheryl and I are going to be launching next week our giveaway. And just so you know, you're going to want to listen and you're going to want to be a part of this giveaway. There's like a little game that you have to play. And then the first person who gets, who wins the game will get our giveaway item. So you got to be here, you got to
Woo-hoo.
listen, you got to subscribe, you got to follow, you got to like, and you can be a part of our giveaway. So stay tuned for that.
Woo-hoo. That's
Um,
exciting.
and also, I just need to yell out that we have a retraction this week. Last week I said there were 15 stages in the Tour de France, but there are not. There are 21 stages in the Tour de France, and there are also rest days, so it ends up being more like a 25-day race. It is long, but if you want to see some of the best legs in the business, head on over to the Tour de France, folks. I got to tell you, those guys are scrawny. These are, but their legs are thick, and I mean not like soccer player legs, but they're not shabby. They're
Yeah.
like they're like all muscles. Those like
No,
what do
zero
you
fat.
call yeah, what do you call those upper leg muscles? Are those your hamstrings or your quads? I don't know.
Quads are in
But
the
the
front, hamstring in the back.
oh wow, how do you know that?
Um, I've been a
Oh,
human being for 58
that's
years.
like that's like that saying liquor in the front, poker in the rear.
Oh my god. It took me a second to register. Oh my god.
Have
You're
you never
here,
heard
only here,
that?
folks. You only get this stuff here on our podcast with Joy. Oh, I have
Have
never
you
heard that. Oh
you've
my
never
god.
heard that?
No. Oh my god. Only you can come up with this stuff.
I didn't make it up. I didn't make it up. I've heard it being thrown around all the time.
I've never heard that. Oh my god.
I mean, it's got double entendre, right? So funny.
She doesn't know quads and hamstrings, but she knows what is it? Liquor in the front
Liquor in the
and
front,
poker in the.
poker in the rear.
Oh my
Woo.
god.
Anyway, guys, and I just have to say, laughter is the best medicine after
After
all.
all. Oh my gosh. You're not gonna be able to tell. You're gonna have a coughing fit now.
All
Whew.
right, guys, this week we are making a detour off of murder again. And tell us what we're going to be talking about, Cheryl.
Well, Joy has prepared a document on 3 summer book reviews. I have to leave it
Woohoo!
to her to do a book review because I don't read.
She does. She does read some things, like she reads text messages.
This is your emails.
I mean, she does know how to read. We're not talking about an
That's
adult illiteracy
questionable.
problem. Yeah.
Well, I think the last book, I honestly don't know the book. I don't know the last book I read. It's probably one that you gave me. Are
Well,
you
if you read
streaming
more,
or
you'd
something?
probably, if you read more, you'd run into that saying that I just threw out there because I'm sure it's been in a book sometimes.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes, Joy
Oh,
is going to talk about. She's going to give us 3 summer book reviews. Take it away,
yep.
Joy.
All right. So, because it's summertime, people like to take books to the beach or on vacation for those long flights or for a train trip or a road trip. And I am one of those people. I tend to read more in the summer months and less in the winter months. In the winter months, I tend to knit more because it's cold and the yarn or the project lays on your lap. And in the summer, it's hot. So, anyway, I have compiled a list of 3 books that I have read recently within the last month that make my list for best books I've read this year and great summer vacation reads.
Okay.
So let's
Do you
roll.
read like an actual book, or do you have it on
Mhm.
Kindle or something? Okay.
Yeah, so I actually read the book, and I used to get them all from the public library, um, but the pandemic kind of, put that on hold, and then also we live between 2 towns. We Our address is, like, obviously, and our zip code is for one of the towns, but we're kind of equidistant between them, and so, as a result, I would have to drive, like, at least 7 or 8 miles to the nearest library, and I really don't feel like doing that because it's out of the way, and so I either get my books, given to me. The girl's piano teacher works for a bookshop, and sometimes when she's done reading, she'll give books to me. My mother in law sometimes gives me books, but I generally I volunteer at a local thrift store and I buy books at the thrift store because they've been lovingly read before. And, books are not like shoes. Shoes are like worn down at the thrift store a lot of times, but the books are like in great condition. And those hardcover books cost
Oh yeah.
25 to $30 sometimes. And at the thrift store they cost, a dollar, $2, $3 max. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
it's a
great.
great savings. I get cookbooks there. I get picture books. I get children's books. Anyway, so if you're ever looking for new books, try out a local thrift store because that's a great idea.
That is.
Also, remember that when you order your books from Amazon, a lot of times you're taking away a sale from a local independently owned bookshop. While I know that Amazon has every book under the sun, I will say that your local independently owned bookshop needs your business. So head over there. You may pay a few more dollars, but you're paying somebody's hourly wage, you're paying someone's salary, you're paying for the light bill, you're paying for their rent, and you're paying for so many other things when you buy it locally. Anyway, the first book I'm going to talk about is called An Invisible Child. It is nonfiction, and it is written by a woman named Andrea Elliott, and she is a Pulitzer Prize winning author for this book, and I believe for one other. She follows 8 dramatic years in the life of Dasani. And yes, she was named after the water brand Dasani.
Really?
Yeah, a girl whose imagination is as soaring as the skyscrapers near her Brooklyn shelter. The book was written in 2021, and it did win the Pulitzer Prize for General Nonfiction in 2022. Andrea Elliott is an American journalist and a staff writer for the New York Times, and this book is 640 pages. Um, I really, really, really loved this book. It was not a quick or easy read because it's nonfiction, and also it it follows this girl and her parents and her siblings um experience in and out of homelessness and extreme poverty in a New York City borough of Brooklyn, and how they struggle to find shelter and to stay in a shelter, and how they're eventually split up, and how they go into foster care. I mean, it's just such an amazing story. Um the
That sounds really
sources,
interesting.
it's really, really interesting, but I will say that, I mean, while it opens this whole world up on poverty and the crime of poverty, because in our country, like, all of the things that are the result of poverty, like homelessness and addiction and theft and crime, and I mean, so many other things, like being incarcerated, those are all the byproducts of the crime of poverty. Because if you think about it, I mean, when people have enough food to eat and shelter, and they don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, or where they will bathe themselves, or whether or not they'll have access to clean clothes or clean water or somewhere to sleep. Um it opens the door for other things. And you think about like generation after generation of families that are mired in poverty. It's so flippant and easy for people to say, well, they just have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It makes me so angry when people say that, because generally speaking, somebody who says that doesn't really know what it's like to live like this.
Mhm.
Um, the sources that I used are Wikipedia and The Guardian for these reviews, just so our listeners know. Not exclusively. I wrote a lot of this stuff, but just to find out like the page count, and like I didn't know that Andrea Elliott also wrote for the New York Times, things like that.
Mhm.
This book follows Dasani, one of quite a few children born to a homeless family in the projects of New York City. Andrea followed this family for 11 years to write this book. And
Wow.
in the course of this time, she becomes a trusted person to this family. The family many times calls her when when they're being displaced, or when they're being kicked out of the one shelter and having to go to another, or when the children are removed to protective custody, things like this. Um, I learned so much about the systems that govern people mired in poverty in this country: CPS, family services, HUD, housing services, health services, etc. You learn from this intimate portrayal that poverty is not something people did to themselves. It's systemic and nearly impossible to get out of these cycles.
Mhm.
Dasani is a very like gregarious and um adventurous and like amazingly like stubborn and willful child, but so like a shining bright light. She works really really hard, doing excelling at sports and in school, and she ends up getting this very coveted placement into the Hershey School, which is a privately funded private school for children with great potential from disadvantaged backgrounds in rural Pennsylvania. And man, when you hear about what this school is like, it's a boarding school. All the kids there have come from just real destitute situations. And they have like group home parents, a mom and a dad. And while they're in the school, they live in a home with like sometimes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 other students in the home, and they eat meals together and they play games together. And the mom and dad are usually a younger couple, or some of them are older couples that mentor the kids, and they sometimes have their own children as well. But what they've done is they've agreed to be teachers in this system, because we all do know that stability and continuity and quality of life begins with a family structure. So it
Mhm.
begins with a parent, or but most times two parents that are in love with each other and have a functional relationship, but that also love each other very much, but love children as well. And they sit down to eat meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are family activities and things like that. And she gets a place into this school. Both she and her sister Aviana apply, but Dasani is the only one who gets in. And so it's like the guilt and her feelings of like, why am I the only one? My sister deserves a spot. It's painful to read sometimes because you want so badly for her to make it,
Mhm.
but there's going to be some spoilers here. So you'll have to get the book to read it to find out if she makes it in the Hershey school or if she gets kicked out. Remember, she comes from an environment where there's no family dinners. They're sleeping on 3 or 4 dirty mattresses on the floor. There are rodents and bugs all over the place. There are no clean clothes, and if there are, it's maybe once every 6 to 8 weeks the clothes are being cleaned. The baby is sleeping in the same diaper, for sometimes 2 or 3 days until it's unusable. I mean, so to send a child to a school like this, I mean, there are you can only imagine. I mean, all of her I mean, just she doesn't have the toolbox or the tools in the toolbox to for it to be a success. And so they have to learn. They have to learn how to develop the tools and they have to learn that they have a toolbox. So it's just so well done.
So the journalist researched or followed her for 11 years. What did you already say what age it starts at? The book, or how
I
old is
believe
she?
I believe Dasani is around the age of 6 when she starts to follow the family.
Hmm.
She's about 16 to 17 when the book ends.
Hmm.
And I also know that like if you Google this book, there's a picture of Dasani and Aviana with their mother, whose name is Chanel. And I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful women. It's a really and there's all kinds of different interviews with the author because obviously this is a huge. I mean, you think about um writing a book that spans 11 years. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Um one of the one of the articles I read had this paragraph and I just want to read it. It says it is important to talk about the kids being removed from their parents' guardianship and placed in protective custody. Their parents loved the kids. They were not abused by their parents, but they couldn't provide. So, in the end, the crime of poverty is what causes so many children to be separated from their parents. And then
Hmm.
what they have to go through to get their children back is even more painful. And every page is hard to turn because it isn't easy or seamless.
Mm.
It's really, really, really
That sounds
amazing,
really
though.
interesting
It is.
and probably
Um,
heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not a short or easy read. It's an investment in time and emotion, but totally worth your time spent. You will learn so much about growing up Black in America, about growing up in poverty, and about our systems, what is broken, what is not broken, and why we have to have empathy and not rush to judge that which we do not know, which
Hmm.
is which is true. Like it's so easy to just be very flippant about when you see somebody on the street or when you see somebody who's, homeless. So, anyway, the second book I am reviewing, and this is actually out of these three books, it actually is the second book that I read. So, I read them in this order. It is the book Romantic Comedy by Elizabeth Curtis Sittenfeld. She goes by Curtis Sittenfeld. She doesn't go by Elizabeth as an author. She is an American writer born in 1975, and this book was published in April of 2023. And it's not as long of a read. It has 360 pages.
Did you already
Um,
mention the title?
it's called a romantic comedy.
Oh, I thought you were describing it.
hmm
It's a romantic comedy. Did it?
Um,
Okay.
right. I will say that the first book, so Curtis Sittenfeld is one of my favorite authors. The first book I read by her was called a book called Prep, and it's about a girl who gets a place in a private boarding school, a prep school, and she goes to school obviously with a bunch of rich kids and privileged kids and white kids, and it's her experience coming from maybe a middle or lower income family, being the recipient based on her grades. And I just identified so much with it because I went to a private prep school in high school. It was only 125 kids at most, but it was around 100 to 125 kids in all, in total. Um, and like my brother and I went to school on like church scholarships because, and we also worked to help subsidize our high school education. Um, and so I just really identified with it, and I connected with the author on Twitter. And when I got my hands on this book and I read it really quickly from cover to cover, I loved it. And I reached out on Twitter and I just said, another fantastic book. What a job well done. I tend to not read, there's a genre of books called chick lit. It's short for chick literature. So books that women like to read, usually romantic comedy books, romance, bodice rippers, all that kind of stuff. But this book was so well done, and I'll tell you why. It is it's a story that follows Sally Mills, a late night sketch comedy show writer, and Noah Brewster, a pop star. And the sketch comedy show that she works on has a different name, but when you read about it, it literally is the epitome of SNL. So I think that the author, Curtis Sittenfeld, probably grew up watching SNL and probably was obsessed with it and probably loved it, like a lot of people. When I was in high school and college, I thought SNL was so amazing.
Mm.
Anyway,
Do you still watch it?
no,
Yeah,
I
I don't.
don't.
I've never been into it. I've never thought it was that funny. But
Yeah,
and especially now, every once in a while, I'll check in and see what's going on. And it's like, nope, can't watch it. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah. This is not your typical romance summer read. It's complicated. Sally is messy, she's stubborn, and she's flawed. She is a sketch comedy writer, so you love that she can laugh at herself and laugh at others. And um, the author even includes the pandemic in the story, so it feels very now. Um, Sally, she writes about Sally online dating, texting, being ghosted. So a lot of the vernacular is very in the now.
Very
Things that,
current.
yeah, things that young people would be dealing with if they were dating right now. Um, and she meets this guy, Noah Brewster, who is kind of like a Justin Bieber meets Joe Jonas kind of character. Very handsome, suave, very good singer, but also comes with a lot of his own flaws as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so, so well done. If you take the time to read this book, you'll be happy. It's very good, and I dare say it will appeal not just to women but men as well. And then head over to Twitter and tweet her and let her know what you thought, because I did the same thing and she liked my comment
Aw,
and gave it a heart.
cool.
And I love that she takes the time to just click a little thank you by giving people a little, heart when they come and say they loved her book, because she's a writer. She doesn't have to respond to people. She just write a book and throw it out there and watch her bank account grow. I
She's written
follow
a lot.
quite Yeah, I follow quite a few writers on Twitter, and I love when they like validate, the comments that we put out there, because we've all obviously bought the book and taken the time
Mm-hmm.
uh,
And that's probably why
to
she does
read it
that.
and then to comment on it. So I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that.
So I'm sorry if you already said this, but have you read other books of hers?
Yes. I've read almost everything she's written.
Oh,
The only
really?
the only book that I haven't read, that I have sitting on my nightstand, and the reason I didn't read it was because of the 2016 election. It just gutted me. Um, but it's the it's the book called Rodham. It's kind of like a fictional character um work of fiction characterizing what Hillary Rodham Clinton's life would have been like had she not married Bill Clinton and just stayed Hillary Rodham. And
Oh,
that's why it's called
interesting.
Rodham. Yeah, and I wasn't able to read it for whatever reason, but I think one of her first books was An American Wife.
Yeah, I'm looking at
It's
on Amazon. She
been
wrote a lot of books.
it's phenomenal. That's the
Hmm.
first book I read by her. And I literally sat up and I was like, I will read everything that this person writes.
And did
So,
you just stumble upon the first book you read of hers, or did somebody
yeah,
recommend it?
I got it at the public library. I mean, this was when I was reading like a book a week or sometimes 2 or
Uh,
3 books a week when I was just reading, 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 reading. And yeah, I probably also didn't have a smartphone. I don't know, but I will tell you these little satanic technical devices are going to be the
mm-hmm.
death of the American novel.
Well,
Anyway,
remember the movie You've Got Mail? How long ago was that? Very long ago when Meg
like
Ryan was still doing
twenty
movies.
20 years ago,
There's that
more.
famous line, the internet is the end of civilization as we know it. And that was back
Yeah,
in whenever that was. Very long.
1998 that
Yeah.
movie came out.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's, there's truth to that. So are you going to read Rodham now?
I will read it, but right now I'm reading a book that I picked up at the airport because I finished the third book that I'm going to talk about on our anniversary trip, and I was so bereft because it was such an amazing book that I felt like I needed to read something right away to fill up what was left after this book. Sometimes I feel like books are like it's like you're eating at a smorgasbord and you never get full, especially a book that's really long. And when I'm done, I feel like I still want more. I'm not done yet reading the book because
Don't
I don't want the story to end. So I have to read something else to fill up the rest. And sometimes I'll pick up a real stinker just so that I can like go,
get it out of
okay,
your
okay.
system.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go, okay, that book's done. I get it. I get it. But
See, that's not, I wouldn't feel that way. If I read a book that is really good, I would have to sit with it for a while. Like, I wouldn't want to pick up another one to, because I wouldn't want the memories that are fresh in my head or the
yeah.
images or whatever to be e- replaced or erased. I don't know. So I would want to not start on that.
No, that actually makes perfect sense. So
But
when
you
I
don't make
read
any sense. So,
when I read nonfiction, I actually am the same way. So when I read the first book that I talked about, An Invisible Child, I actually was not able to read anything for a while because it's a true story and it's someone's real life. And to me that's very yeah, it gives me pause, whereas when I'm reading fiction,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
I get
usually
that.
have the same response.
Yeah, no,
And
I
then
get
the
that.
other thing is, and I've often wondered if this has something to do with it. So when we were kids, we had a television, and one day we went to school and we came back that evening and the TV was gone. My brother and I were about 5, maybe 6. My sister was 2 years older. And then we didn't have a television again until I came back when I was 19 for my first year away from home in college, and my mom had bought a small, like 18-inch TV.
Hmm.
And I was so from the age of 5 or 6 until 19. So reading books was very much like, that was the thing, that was the thing I did until I stumbled on that radio show, Sexually Speaking by Dr. Ruth Westheimer. It's true. Eh,
Is that where you got the liquor in the front?
Poker in the rear.
Dr. Ruth
Um,
Westheimer.
no, but remember she had a very high scotchy uh
Yes.
accent. And she was like,
Imitate
thank
imitate
you.
her and say that
Actually,
saying.
liquor in the front, poker in the rear.
Oh, that
I
would be
may,
so awesome if
I
it
may,
originated
I
with
may,
her.
I
Ah.
may or may not edit that out. Anyway, so yeah, we read. I mean, stacks and stacks and stacks of books. And I can tell you, sometimes I'll pick up a book and I'll get halfway through it and I'll go, I've read this before.
I like that
And
with movies.
sometimes I'll read it 2 or 3 times and I'll go, yeah, I've read this before. But I won't remember, because I'm getting older. But anywho, so yeah, I feel like sometimes books are just, if it's not a really good book, you read it because you need something to do. But if it's a really, really, really good book, um, you know, then I feel like I'm a little bit like lost when I'm done because I want it to keep going.
Hmm.
So anyway, so the last book review for my summer book review series, which by the way we'll be bringing back again. We'll do probably like a fall or winter book series, and maybe we'll keep doing this cuz who doesn't love a good book? The last book review is the book Demon Copperhead, written by Barbara Kingsolver, who by the way is a phenomenal writer. She wrote the Poisonwood Bible. I don't know if you've read that.
I just said
This
I don't read.
this book was released in 2022, and she has written so many books. But she was the co-recipient of the 2023 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction and won the 2023 Women's Prize for Fiction with this book. She was inspired by the Charles Dickens novel David Copperfield, which explains why this is called Demon Copperhead.
Oh,
While Kingsolver's novel is similarly about a boy born into poverty, Demon Copperhead is set in the American South and explores contemporary issues. Um, Barbara Kingsolver was raised in rural Kentucky and lived briefly in the Congo in her early childhood. So that explains her love for the South, and also the Poison Word Bible, which I referenced earlier, is based in the Congo. So that explains that. The plot of this book is a protagonist and narrator, Damon Fields, born to a teenage mother in a trailer home. He's raised in the Appalachian Mountains of Virginia and nicknamed Demon Copperhead for the color of his hair and his attitude. As Demon grows up, he must use his charms and wits to survive poverty in the contemporary American South. So you can see why this book appealed to me. I live in North Carolina. I recognize many of the haunts he speaks of and understood the lay of the land, the landscape, the weather, the way the words were written, the smells and sounds and scenes, even down to the vernacular being spoken. Barbara writes the young boy's words as if she had lived this life herself. And so when you read it in his voice. It's just so spectacular.
that's
The
good.
way that she writes about living in poverty, his experiences in foster care, it just takes my breath away. But because it's nonfiction, obviously my reaction is different. And also, he's a boy, it's so amazing to me when authors write. Like Barbara Kingsolver is a 60 something white woman. She writes a book about a child who's growing up, a boy in the South. I mean, it's just so fascinating. I know I could never do that. I just don't know enough about words um to like be able to put a story like that together.
Well, I'm sure they do a lot of research too, right?
Oh yeah,
To
but I
get
mean,
the
remember it's fiction, so she's making this up out of her in her head. I mean, it's like the most amazing story.
yeah, but I mean for for the details to be accurate, I'm sure they do a lot of research.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure. This book is also an investment. You can't read it quickly or thoughtlessly. You have to focus and slow down to digest the tone it's written in. It's 560 pages, but you won't be sorry if you read this book. It's really, 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 really well done. And if any of our listeners out there want to read it, I have a copy sitting right in front of me, and I will send it to the first person who emails us
Ooh,
at murder and everything else at gmail.com. It
ooh, you
really,
heard
really
it here.
is. Yeah, guys, this is like a $32 book or something. So, and I'm trying to see. what this book was. Maybe it was more, but it's one of those books that I imagine I will probably read again someday because it was so well done. So you heard it here. I will say my favorite authors are all women. Um, I think in the past I've talked about Margaret Atwood being one of my favorite authors, and another one being Min Jin Lee. She wrote Pachinko and she wrote Free Food for Millionaires. Anyway, I don't know, I connect better, I feel like, with female authors.
Did you say which of these three is your favorite?
Well, I have to go back to the first one, An Invisible Child, because it's nonfiction. I went through a
Hmm.
period of time where I pretty much only devoted my time to nonfiction. I love it because it's a real story about a real person, and just the insurmountable obstacles that they have to overcome in their life. So yeah, I would have to say that is my favorite. And I had that book in my possession, but I was able to share it. I actually all three of these in my possession, but the first two I was able to share. And that's the other thing is if you read an amazing book and you love it, give it to someone else to read because it's like the gift that keeps on giving. Then they'll read it and they'll pass it on to, you know what I mean? You so rarely see people who love books that hold on to their favorite books. They always give them away because they want somebody else to read this amazing piece of literature that they read.
Yeah, well, it's like recommending a movie. But you shared with me my favorite book, The Glass Castle. Um,
Oh yeah, that's a
yeah,
great
talk
book.
about a great memoir. I love, and I
Did
hate
you ever
when
read her second book, Half Bred Horses?
no.
It's so good too. It's the story of the author's mother's life growing up.
Oh,
You would love
yeah.
it. So, if you want to read a great book, you should go out there. You should find Half Broke. It's Half Broke or Half Bred Horse. I think it's Half Broke Horses, but it's so good.
Oh, yeah, by Jeanette Walls.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the beauty of sharing. Because I would never have picked up that book, The Glass Castle, and of course I shared it with people too. And of
Yep.
course the movie. Just I hate when they make movies out of everything because you can't. It
Yeah.
does not even compare to the way she describes everything, like the damn braces that she tried to make herself. Remember? Oh my god! Do you remember
Yeah.
that when she tried to make the braces out of the hanger and the pad, the maxi pad?
I didn't watch more than like so there were two books. One was Eat Pray Love, which by the way, I didn't love. I couldn't enjoy the movie. And then it was awful. The book was awful, the movie was awful.
Mm.
But Jeanette Walls, I got to tell you the what was that book again? Oh, The Glass Castle. I watched 10 minutes and I was like, I can't
I
do
can't
this.
no because
It's
it's just
terrible.
horrible. Yeah,
But I was gonna tell you, it's called Half Broke Horses, a
I'm looking at
true
it right
life
now.
a true life novel. You should get it and read it. I think you would really, really love it. It's written very much in the same style
Oh,
as
the Glass
Glass
Castle,
Castle.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, I do read everyone. I used to read a lot when I was in high school, but I only read Stephen King and Dean Koontz.
Oh, that's like Gabe. He read everything he could get his hands on by Stephen King.
Yeah, I read all scary stuff. I did not read any romance or any of that BS.
So anyway, for those of you listening, if you also want to shout out what your summer reads are,
Yes.
feel free to email us. We would love to get
Get
an
some email.
email. Hey, shout out, just so you guys know, like Dave O'Shea, my husband's cousin Dave O'Shea is the only guy who's emailed us at our murder and everything else at gmail.com email address. So, you could be the second person to send us your summer reads. And
Well, and
then
which book are you giving away?
It's Demon Copperhead by
Okay, you
Barbara
guys heard it.
Kingsolver. Yeah, and if you
First
live near
person to
me,
email.
and if you live near me, I can even drive it over to your house.
Ooh, you get to meet her in
I can
person.
autograph the book for you.
Oh my.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I wouldn't besmirch this beautiful book with my. Also, I mean, when you sign a book, it has to be the author. So it would be stupid for me to sign it anyway.
Oh, you don't write an inscription if you're giving a book to somebody?
I used to, but since I give my books away if they're really good, I know people don't want my name in their books.
Hmm. But if you
You
gave it
know?
like as a gift to someone, you would.
No, because what if you want to give it away to somebody?
Hmm. Okay. Well, I'd scratch it out. There's white out also.
Because yeah, good books are supposed to be shared, and I haven't seen a bottle of whiteout in like 12 years, girl.
They still make them. I work in an office still. Well, they make the tape ones, which are
Uh,
really hard to use sometimes because they don't roll out well. And sometimes the old school stuff is a lot better. Anyway,
that's
I
right. You could
digress.
get white nail polish and use that.
I don't know if it's thick enough.
Well,
Anyway,
even though we didn't talk about murder today, Cheryl, you know what's a crime?
what's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
Yes, we are. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch created and managed by Kevin Callan. Podcast editing and advertising by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezek. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, and you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.